Hey, Cmax here. Welcome to the What To, Why To new slash non-reloader reloading series. The series is intended for someone who may be on the fence trying to decide whether they want to reload or not. It's not intended to be instructional or complete. Just try to fill in some of the gaps so that when you look at how-to videos, it may help everything mesh. Okay. This is video number 9, and I may cut this up into part A and part B. But in this one, we're going to talk about seating the bullet and crimping. This is a very critical step, probably the most critical because you're concerned with the depth. We talked about that, how that affects the compartment size in there, that affects the pressures and whatnot. So we're going to go back. We've been using a 3-die Lee 38 special set. And we're up to the, let's see, they call it bullet seat and feed die. It's basically a seating crimping die. Now, what I want to do is, first of all, I'm going to talk about the 3 set here where you don't have the factory crimp die, but we will cover that. So what you have here is a die that what it does is takes the bullet and it puts it down in there to a certain depth and then does a crimp. What a crimp is the mouth here. They either flatten it, do like this on the very edge. You can kind of think of it as removing the flaring, expanding, or belling that we did, and press it up kind of flat against the bullet. So if you think the bullet's there, it just kind of presses up against it flat. Okay. The second type of crimp is where the edge of the case here is actually rolled into it. Okay, which obviously would give a firmer grip. Now, why crimp at all? Basically to hold the bullet in place. Now, a taper crimp is used for pretty much semi-automatic pistol loads. Your 380, 9mm, 45s. And the reason for that is the autoloader's headspace from the case mouth. Now, we're not going to get into head spacing. That's a totally different subject. If you want to find that out, you can Google it and learn more about that. But right now, it really doesn't matter. But on revolver rounds like this, you roll crimp. So let's go back to the die here for a second. Now you've got a plunger, and then the die body inside itself has the crimping ability. Okay. So this top part that spins is just going to determine how deep you set the bullet down into the case. You twist it down in there and it's going to push it further down into the case. Okay, and here you can see how deep that bullet has to be pressed down in the case. This is the correct overall length. This one is just literally sitting in the neck there. How you adjust the amount of crimp is how much you take the die body and twist it in. The further you twist it down, the more crimp you're going to get. Part B, we're going to go and actually do this. I want to talk about the theory and stuff here in part 1. That is how you do it with a seating and crimping die at once. So what we'll end up doing is we're going to screw this down. We're going to follow the directions, screw this down into the press. And your first step in setting this die is you don't even worry about the crimp. All you're worried about is the seating the depth of the bullet. So the instructions will tell you, and we'll go over that. Put it down, let it touch the top of the shell holder, back it up so far, lock it down. Unscrew this back out, put your charged case in there, and start twisting this down, testing it, and measuring it. Now, what are you going to measure it with? You're going to measure it with calipers. These are calipers. These happen to be digital ones. The real accurate ones are the ones that have a dial on it, but they're much more difficult to read. These are a lot simpler, and there's, you probably want to get both. But I recommend starting out with this because the last thing you want to do is misread your caliper, and it's pretty hard to do with the digital one. But essentially, you'll have this in. You'll have your case and your bullet. Tighten that down, raise it up. You'll take the bullet out, and you'll start measuring it. Nope, it's got to go more. Twist down. Twist it down a little bit. Run it in there again. Measure it. Okay, for argument's sake, you've got it down to the depth you want it. Okay? All right, so we've got this in there. We've got it down to the depth we want it. At that point, you back out your cedar way up high so it doesn't touch anymore. Okay, first thing that comes to your mind is, well, wait a minute, you just set that. Why would you back it out? Because you've got your bullet to determine the height now. You've measured it. It's the correct overall length. This is how deep you want it. Okay? So you back this out so it does not interfere with the depth that you set the die body for the crimp. So at that point, you're going to start twisting this body down and run it back up in there, and you're going to start looking at the crimp. Okay? Once you get the crimp that you want, you put it up in there, and then you start twisting this back down till it touches, and that set the height for the cedar again. It's just that easy. That's how you get the two-step process out of it. Okay? Now, if you have a factory crimp die, which I did get one, because I have learned several things about it that we're fixing to go over, then what I would do in this step is just seat the bullet. I wouldn't even worry about using the crimp function of this die. Now, let's talk about, here's some pictures about the different crimps. So let's look at that. Okay, here's a picture. The one on the left looks like a 38, and you can see the roll of the case there into that groove. On the left looks like a 38. And on the right, that looks like a 45. You don't see that. That's the taper crimp where it's just pressed up against the bullet. Now here's a better picture. On the left, you can see the taper where it's just kind of smashed evenly up against the side of the bullet, and then on the right it's curved inward. Here's a great cutaway to show the corner there, the top of the case. The roll crimp actually rolls into, kind of indents into the bullet, and on the right it just kind of takes the case and smashes it up flat with it. I think this is a good example to try to describe the differences, and they are hard to see, and you need a magnifying glass. Okay, here's some rifle rounds, and you can see they do have a roll crimp. And here's another example. It's not quite as good, but what it's trying to show you is on the third one, how it's bowed out. That's over crimp. So you want to avoid that as well. Okay, well that's pretty simple. Just rule of thumb, revolver type cartridges you roll. Rifle stuff you put roll crimps on. Auto stuff typically just taper. All right, why don't you look at this email? When I was doing this, I had a thought, and I contacted Lee on it that, if you really wanted a lot more crimp, can you just remove this and use this as a crimping die by itself? I'm trying to save money, not want to have to order those. And they sent this email back, and sure enough, you can do that. And I thought, aha, I figured something out here to save money. However, I did some more research, and something I didn't know, and I don't think a lot of people know, is in the pistol calibers of the Lee factory crimp die. Read this. It actually resizes the case again to make sure the case is going to fit in the chamber just as pretty as you please. So that's an advantage. So my advice would be buy the 4 die set from the onset. Just go and get it. It's only a little bit more. It's cheaper than if you buy the 3 set and then add it to it. Now in the rifle, that doesn't apply. And here's their explanation on the rifle ones right here. Check that out. All right, that's going to wrap it up for video 9, part A. In the next video, we're going to take these over to the press and actually do it. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.